What is it? No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper. Yes. Or no.
She doesn't seem surprised to be recognized. Rather sad. Something passes over her face before she straightens it.
I am Soona Luukkanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you.
Did she say over 16 years of experience? She must have started programming when she was still a...
Nope. Yes. And? No, you're right. I'm not. I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything. I use the AR-1 as my RAIM prefix processing unit. Mm-hmm. Yes? You really don't know anything about radio computers, do you? All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on the front, the unified front of radio waves. License and it's all around us. That's what on air means.
Like love.
I guess it is. So far I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market. So I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000 is a foolproof line for civilians. Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything. Ask around, compare the prices. There are many million. I'm working.
The machine seems almost alien with its pulsing core. The light cast in her face in a...
Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something. So you do know something about computers. You're right. Prefect is used mostly by the government peeps. No, I don't. Because I needed something good for my investigation and RAIM Civic is widely agreed to be below all standards, so I had to upgrade. Besides, owning a RAIM prefect isn't such a big deal anymore.
No, actually, it is kind of a big deal. You don't see RAIM prefects in every police department.
I know a friend of a friend who used to freelance for the Coalition. I was actually aiming for the military-grade RAIM Rational series, but couldn't find one. Prefect is mainly based on the same technology as Reims Civic, so it's kind of a ripoff. But it does have better compatibility with newer antenna models, so I won't complain. They are connected to my Reims Prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay?
Short and terse. There you have it. Whatever she's using them for, they're hers.
Great. You really like those questions, don't you? I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out. I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world.
Wait, what? She's looking for a disruption in the radio waves. That's what her person... The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything.
Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible to say what it is because it's impossible to measure nothing. What do you think it is? What qualities does nothing have? How do you measure something that does not exist?
Easy. You measure it by the world around it.
Exactly. Very true. That's what I've been aiming for. That's why I have those basins. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins.
Hydro transducers. So that's what those water basins are.
But honestly, it's not progressing very well. Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that. Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume.
Only a faint crisscross of rafters can be made out from the dark. Most of the tower dissipates.
There's this place at the back of the church. A place where all audible vibrations seem to cease.
The Pillar of Silence? Are you sure it's not just an architectural quirk?
Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to the... I know. No, I don't. Because it's just trial and error, trying to locate the swallow, and I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work. Great. Thanks. The swallow, you mean? What about it? Great. Thanks. What? I hate it.
I bet she hasn't even heard it.
Yeah. Like all the time. My tent neighbors don't really ease up with their part. Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it, but to a sober mind it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with... This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub they want to build here. Take a guess, why don't you? Bingo!
Ah, wonderful. Now this house of worship is also going to be a drug lab. Always something fascinating happening in tents.
Yeah, what I said before. Not possible, so that's settled. Great. No nightclubs in the church then.
Why does art inspire you so much? Is it? Yet your eye constantly seeks out the most critical side of any. In short, art is the highest form of human communication. Have you looked in the mirror lately? To be honest, you have the exact features of the modern artist, with that wild hair and those clothes. Perhaps you should try to write poetry someday and critique architecture. Of course not. It's autism, box drawing, masturbation with a ruler and a sextant or whatever they use. You should demean and criticize the genteel institution of architecture while extolling only the most experimental kind. Yes, you seek substance. No vapid representations and reproductions of social mores as made manifest in stuffy biennials. We're talking real, living art here. Exactly. It's not only your duty to only catch the criminals off the street. Go ahead and... An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot.
It's military. A service depot. The washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo.
Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. The cloth, if you can still call it that, makes it streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. It seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out on this fence.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. It's a guano-encrusted jacket, and you're already carrying around enough as it is.
Honorable One, you have accumulated a substantial amount of honor points on your life. Of course there were honor points. Did you think no one was paying attention to all of your... Oh, the modest... You are on the fast track to becoming one of the rarest, most revered of all police. Living in the name of virtue and doing noble deeds while expecting nothing in return is not archaic. How can you even think that selflessness forms the basis for the warrior code? An ageless code. You are like a wandering night monk. Are you ready to drink deep from the cup of honor? Yes, your deeds are spoken for you, Honorable One. Even among the honorable, only the most dignified are deemed worthy. Honor comes from deep within you. You need to bring the thumb of your right hand, your sword hand, to your rectum and stick it in there to form the Arch of Honors. People will be in awe, admiring a police officer most...
What are you doing? Really? It seems more like a personal hygiene.
You're right. The lieutenant, although a noble man, does not understand honor like you do. Best not to waste time trying to explain. Lead by example. Congratulations, Honorable One. Go forth and commit even more honorable deeds. It is an honor to serve with you, Honor Cop. smell. It's awful and familiar. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach, the signs of decaying meat. It announces itself from the lieutenant has already...
ASAP, detective.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrap, 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka, and a can of black.
A tragedy.
Whoever tossed it here. Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes, known for their high tar. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. It's no older than a day or two. No mold. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer.
Another dead body. This is your job. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another... He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom made. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket...
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black... A bad fall. It might have been dark outside. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle, a dried chunk of blood, covers the hair at the back of his head. This is what killed him.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bed.
They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead... He could have easily disappeared into the sea through that hole. And you would have never... A .75 liter Tallulah vodka.
Tear all around us.
Rabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth, the blackness of death. Stench.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of... I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario. Even the chewing gum.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't... But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think? We do know that he was married. But you're right. Let's not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition of... Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this...
Agreed. If this somehow converges later, why not? But keep it...
Oh, yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a near...
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure. From where I stand, I can see 2 options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for... A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death... I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of unnecessary work. Maybe, but we don't really have much time or resources to spare. The Guys at processing will take care. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can...
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased, or his family member. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 00.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Méjean.
You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Hailostam. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about...
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext, young carp, and the collection of cultural hyperlinks. Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad made...
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing...
Well, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor.
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electric. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics group. That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Felt became a global player in... Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Felt had an ace up their sleeve. Or should I say, they were developing an ace up their sleeve? I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for, tape. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution. Revolutionizing business, which is a feat of engineering, even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM.
He assumes something like a combat stance, facing the...
Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their... All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed.
A pleasure wheel?
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
He means that the boys got shot by the communists. The boys were bourgeois.
Officer, I told you this chapter of history wasn't on Mikhail's curriculum.
The boy looks first at you, then back at his father, confused.
They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases. The most notorious example being, what's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the new...
A short-lived legislative foundation.
It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Riva Shawl on her political cons... I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention. Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were...
Buckle up.
10 years ago, I did a little... freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had...
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center, like it's the most natural thing in the world. What the hell is a Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell?
The Womty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. In fact, I'm not. The Womty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape.
Made of black film and folding tape structures.
Even one would be very useful. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionary setting fire. Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the... Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. But of course, what else? Sure, what's on your mind? But of course, I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important.
He's not gonna give you money. What are you doing? Clearly you... No, I mean, come on. You need the money. If it's not a thing, he can give you...
Oh no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking in more general terms. I'm just spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser-known parts of our hometown.
Not that he would have to worry about being robbed. He looks surprisingly buff.
I do some Lomantang.
Lomantang stick fighting is a form of martial arts originating from the island of Lomantang.
Actually, a great many cultures have their own version of stick fighting, such as the sacred Mabolo tradition of the Harli people. The name deriving...
You doze off as he paints you a comprehensive picture of the history of stick fighting among mankind. Man, he's good at speaking.
But anyway, I'm boring you with details again. You were saying? Lomantang stick fighting is a little like a Berolidan addiction. I've been practicing it for nearly 20 years now.
Dad's fighting with sticks every night after dinner for 4 hours. He has a special room.
That's right, Mikhail. It also has a meditative quality. Helps to clear my head. No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick
your brain. If anything, this was...
go. Nice and easy.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the...
Who's there?
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll hand... To what do I owe the...
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance.
Oh, no. It's all right. I'm just busy. Of course. Thank you for passing along the message.
The 881 is a raised motorway that separates Martinez from Jamrock. The labyrinth of streets underneath it makes it difficult to pass. Not...
Oh, good. We should really be getting...
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary! We can go soon!
Sir,
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait.
His hands are large and weather-worn, but also used to delicate, precise work.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been... Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, and I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself. It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, but I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how... I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the megaphasma, typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen. Not yet. That's...
just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of...
I know it's real.
It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven...
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that yes, the most recent sighting. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubt...
He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small...
Yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's what... Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite... Yes. Simple. Attracted by the locusts. At least, that... Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over. A meat-eating stick insect? Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely.
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps. They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis...
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear...
Yes. What? By woman, you mean my wife, I assume. My wife understands that just as well.
Come on, Morale.
And leave the traps? Absolutely.
Come on. She wants us back.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. Yes. That's how we first came to know. Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid No. The traps need to be more...
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research. There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. I bet You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just...
That seems like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular? Is it?
Bring it to me at once.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even.
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, it's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sun.
I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so...
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop.
Right, which means you two can pack up.
Finally.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If
it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss. But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of... It's not child's play. Just because I have to trade through the mud every so often. Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does. My methods do not differ from other scientists. No, as I said, I have yet to...
Interesting. Something for later, this close call.
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the...
He's interested in things that people believe that scientists don't.
Most establishment scientists only care about reputation and remuneration, not real research. No, very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's... Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is... Two are categorized as confirmed discoveries. Yes, the Chateau Quan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct... We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves. More so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. Indeed. If our expedition is successful...
He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Yes?
Hello, I'm Gary. Yellow Man. I mean...
The lieutenant raises his eyebrow. Yellow man. Interesting. This is...
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization. I like nature, just not this bloody coast.
Degenerates. This man respects authority too much. To see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art the paragon of virtue.
I've been tempted on occasion, but someone has to stay strong for...
He pronounces Revacon with a hard K. Serious question time. This man is no innocent. No one is.
Do I know how to turn back time?
The lieutenant crosses his... You'd better be going somewhere case-related with... He gave you a question for an answer. Must mean the answer's obvious.
Phew. I don't know what to tell you. Well, there's a very interesting cryptid known as the Semper Ma, and a certain tribe of ancient kits. And then you hear rumors that the Seolites possess technology that actually lets them move through time like it's a corridor. Cryptids, actually. It's a so-called colonial animal, presenting as a large singular body when in actuality, it's found in the subtropical jungles of Samara. Extreme... Yes, it blends in with the jungle floor. Unsurprisingly, it's become the subject of many local myths. I once heard a story about a whole village disappearing overnight, without a trace. Can you imagine that? Whole area is completely abandoned now. Locals won't even go near it. They swear the mud writhes in the... I'm getting there, officer. You see, the Semper Ma has also evolved a curious defensive mechanism. When threatened, it... Now, here's where it gets really interesting. It's believed that the mechanism by which the Semper Ma... by about 4.5 seconds... Well, you see, the fascinating thing about it is that this temporal reversion is and attack it over and over again. You could theoretically punch your way back to the Franco-Nigerian era. Assuming you survive the encounter, but that's way down the line, of course. Well, first we'd need to secure funding for an expedition, then assemble a team, gather supplies. There's probably a million other little things. I haven't really heard of any time travel pills, and personally, it seems easier than accessing deep secret Seolite. Well, how else did they get so far ahead of everyone in the tech race?
No part of me is part of this conversation. Oh no. That's a special thing, you two.
Everything's cool. Nothing wrong with a little speculative inquiry. But really, officer...
He's really trying to convey how cool and natural this all is for him.
Absolutely. That definitely helps. But that alone? Come on, officer. Everybody knows about it. The stuff they've got, most people here can't even... You think that's crazy? Just wait till you learn how they've managed to get... Isn't it obvious? Someone's been feeding them a little trickle of tech down from someplace... The blue? No, the future. The Seolites are... That creates a loop, right? The more advanced tech they send here, the more advanced they become in the future, which...
Within this self-contained logic bubble, a loop. He is not wrong.
Now that is a paradox.
A statement seemingly contradictory or opposed to common sense, and yet perhaps true, or perhaps not.
Hey man, no one likes to hear it, but I'm not here to give you a fault, though I suppose this still doesn't help you manipulate. Well, essentially it's a grief ritual practiced by certain ancient Seminese tribes. What makes it really disturbing is the fact that they...
Please note, tales of digital mutilation are a common trope of racist pseudo-histories, completely unsubstantiated.
Hey, you asked me, officer. These are barbaric
tropes of fantastique literature combined with mundane racial prejudice. This is what the term pseudo-history was invented.
I'm getting there. See, the practice is derived from Seminese finger counting. Each segment of the finger represents 1 hour, so they count up to 12 with one hand, disregarding the thumb, of course. By removing one segment from their fingers, they remove the corresponding hour from their life. No. There's a discrepancy, as I explained. They count up to 12 on their fingers.
One you absolutely don't have time for. Let's be done with this idiocy.
Oh, well, this is embarrassing, but I'm really not sure what else to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, officer.
Anyone whose livelihood isn't predicated. Truth Hunt is a popular radio program. Each week, its two eccentric hosts explore a variety of topics, from cryptids and this guy has proved to be a dead end. A dissatisfied growl in your abdomen.
I like to pronounce it the hard way.
The stupid way? He winks at you, trying to relay some hidden message, inviting you to mispronounce it too, perhaps. It's a secret right, a very garbage. You're a true patriot, and you know how it's said. But still, he's definitely one of us. Longs for the old days.
Oh, so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about.
So you do know something.
No. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary.
He's not feeling very comfy in his clothes. He didn't kill him or anything. But there's something going on here.
My mug? Why would you think that? I may have had a similar-looking mug in the past. That's all. Okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away. You're not going to find me, are you? Okay, I deserve that. And I won't. I don't know what got into me. Stuffing my garbage in another man's...
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. I know a guy who works with the trash collection services, CS Municipal, so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. I'm sorry, okay?
Disgraced. No need for the histrionic, sir. It was...
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Officer, please, let me explain. I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard. Then I came out to clean up the rags, because no one else would. I put them in... Okay. I was coming to throw the mug...
Right. It was just...
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Civic duty. Armor? No. I mean, yes.
An infant could see he's not telling the truth. But there's something going on here. You should observe him more closely after this topic is concluded.
I hope I could help your investigation, in my small way.
Does this mean you were in his apartment, admiring his colonial mug collection? Perhaps it would be interesting to tell him.
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. But I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own. Not many Sealites here, or anywhere.
Do you remember how, when we met Measurehead and I said the next races will be a really good one? Well, this is that racist.
Hey, man. All I meant was there are not many Sealites around here. I'm just stating a fact. Oh, yes. Of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. Sure do, officer. In my home. Yes. When I was going to... How did you know? Mr. Clare unlocked my apartment? So you work for Everard Clare? Officer, please tell him we're good. What have I done? He'll send them...
As he lowers his tone, he hunches his back.
Whatever it is, tell him I'm silent as the grave. I was probably... I won't do it again. If there's anything I can do to assist you...
This scared him proper. He's positively melting from fear.
The weather vane has turned. He cannot be unturned.
He clearly liked his squirming. He may even have changed his mind about the whole door-opening operation.
Officers.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is... Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a...
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry. I was ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
We're not detecting falsehood, sire.
Gary!
Later, Morale.
No. You've got explaining to do.
He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. But so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching. So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, only the cuirass was left. So I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning, no one saw me. I took it...
We're detecting sincere contrition here, sire.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you are tiny top.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Sealite officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
They were thoroughly conservative men, he realizes suddenly.
Because I was weak. I should have told you...
The hell, Gary?
I'll explain later. I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying...
This is all he knows.
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
The white ceramic cuirass hugs your torso, shielding your vitals without adding much bulk to your... The hardened vitreous enamel, at once sleek and light, adds a glow to your cheeks and you really do feel more confident. Invulnerability does that. Even partial invulnerability. It may be a while before you have all the pieces. In the meantime, remember, this is a highly specialized kinetic redistributor meant to stop bullets for the day you have to fight someone covered in the same. There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morel set behind you. The ruins of a residential building. Locusts are crawling around in the trap.
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go. No, you weren't.
Behind you. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual, meaning this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution.
A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded, 10 meters away. Other shades are lined up in an orderly manner. Droplets of rain fall on the wooden planks. A long time has passed. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either a host of men, probably in everyday, they stand. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding men of duty. Dark, murderers, twisted by orders. The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the...
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any... Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start.
Remember what Trent Heidelstein said about Veld?
Another likely scenario.
Or maybe...
Yeah. It's very unlikely the coalition... To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation...
A co...
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help?
A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds sway in the coastal breeze. The wind picks up here. This trap is also full of pen.
Another empty trap. Yep. The next one has a crab trapped in it.
Nothing has changed. This is the reeds by the later it gets, nothing but locusts in this trap as well.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done. No, I'm fine.
Waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards.
takes you a moment. The reeds bend forlornly, the constant, distant song. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. No locust. No phasmid either, but still.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there. I just see an... Right. Anyway...
Hello again. How can I help you?
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bug, a drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Why on earth? These are prescription. I can't really see without them. Prolodon is just something I was with the emergency relief.
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste, a primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile. Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work. Needless to say, things didn't work out. An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. I lived by the river since I was a small boy. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the... There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened. And why So much disappointment. An early death. No one's. A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor. The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young, so I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just... I like the theory more than the story.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Have you tried it before?
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the nick. He won't be your knock, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
If you say, here you go, man. Of course. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I just don't like it very much. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous...
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
He shakes his head, slowly.
The Coldima Madakwa? Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Or birds, for that matter. What an interesting development. Well, it's been... Once knew a group of young musicians who decided they didn't want to play music. This was before, you know, lost touch with them after all of... Cool or not, one of them was obsessed with recording the Coldima Madakwa. And he was one of those passionate people who know a lot about all kinds of strange things. So he got the rest of us to join in his search. We thought we did. We got together all these recordings of unusual sound patterns. Compared them. That really wasn't the point. Unfortunately, I don't have any recordings from my old life.
Do we really have time for this?
This recording comes from down the coast. Wasn't looking true. Keep in mind, I have to slow this one down enough to make sounds well...
As the hum grows louder, modulating. Not good, not good. You're about to start suffering. He nods to you, reassuringly. Seabirds most likely. Gulls and such.
And skewers, but... Shh.
A low range of sounds is easier to handle with a focal point, but still trouble.
You know, now that I've listened to it on these new speakers, it's not the Coldima Madakwa. Wrong patterns, wrong photons. Sure, let me have a look. Another time, perhaps. Someone...
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh, God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another.
Maybe. Shady-looking guys came in here yesterday, looking like they'd just taken off their... They went their way.
Maybe Claire really is tracking down your gun.
People as oleaginous as Everard seem like they're lying, even when they're...
Sure, man.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright... Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless...
Oh, that's the Headless Phone Rider. The Headless Phone Rider. It's an urban legend about a man who rides the streets of Revachol sporting a fawn tracksuit. As you see, he's missing his head. 50 cents. Bargain price. I'll throw in the tiny cap.
He lost his cap when he lost his head. Perhaps he's looking for the head.
Did I mention that this figurine is supposed to be lucky? Always cap.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps.
This is what the loyalists looked like, yes, at first. Then they wised up and got camouflaged.
Which ones? Ah, those.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles.
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win. Okay, I don't like either set too.
The boomboxes wait on the shelves. And your boombox, that gold and amber Harmon Waushi, stares at you longingly with its tape reel eyes. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Hold on. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. Billy Majon, you said. Give me a moment. Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majon's home address. Is that...
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day. Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release.
Good. You have a name now.
Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her. Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight. Marie! She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a... 1 second. Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that. Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
Anything else you need from me? 57.
In the cabin, you see a... You see a heavy steel door. The door does not. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. Old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. It leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The old...
Boy, am I ever so grateful to you.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife...
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we have... Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the... You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course.
Oh, you don't want...
Ramblings. Nonsense.
But, darling, I didn't...
Measuring things is important. How did she get the size?
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you...
Reflexively, the lieutenant...
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reed. Ah, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Betoncourt got bombed in the war.
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a star. I tried, but I was only a child. I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most deep...
It did, yeah.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Our first, yes.
The glance is tender, yes, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're...
What if it is the case?
How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid.
So she couldn't have made it up, or imagined it.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. You trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds?
I thought it was a wonderful story, ma'am.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just...
Nothing like the gratitude of a good woman. Now then, what can I do for you? Good. Okay. And? Completely empty?
No locusts?
That's not ideal.
It just means the Insulindian phasmid is even more...
She's engaging in a well-known self-deception called...
Of course, more clever.
Yes. The Phantasmadeia picked off the locusts and escaped. This is good news, though we'll have to reconsider the design of the traps.
Another trip to the reeds.
I appreciate your concern, officer. Actually, no. Excuse me for getting emotional. This is a big deal for us.
Heartfelt gratitude.
Thank you, it's an honor. We should probably return to our main investigation here. This has been refreshing, but...
Consider the way the empty trap was disturbed. As though shaken. You should ask the red-headed boy, Kuno.
A little hooligan.
Oh, my dear Morel. You've been an old man for too long. Kids love to torment insects.
Delinquents. My favorite.
Oh, you've been such a dear to us. Please, let us know.
Well, I see you've got all the help you need. I'll see you tonight at my place. Let's play Susan.
After this is your last chance to talk to Gary.
Really, Gary? We're getting somewhere.
Lena, I'm sorry, but you're not getting anywhere. It was some kids. Morel, it's been fun. Really. But I need a bag.
No need to apologize, Gary.
The first man to break formation is always a blow to leadership. This is bigger than he lets on.
Hell no. I had no idea, and I'm still cross with you.
I don't know what got into him, officer. Thank.
Always I mean, officers.
Short means this man is truly sorry.
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time?
It's you again. What is it? Oh, so you went and talked to Mom.
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You gonna go and tell on us? You gonna let him talk to me like that, Titus?
Let's see. The old man sent word you'd be around again. That's the reason I'm being so forthright.
But having Everard back you up like that did seem to have some effect. As you look around this room full of sweaty men, swearing, drinking, spitting out tobacco, you believe the place was called...
Huh? You got a problem with beer?
Not quite there yet. Push on.
You saying we don't help people? I've been doing this job for 10 years.
They don't know, man. They weren't here. We had 3 shootings a week, kids dead, fucking graffiti.
Congratulations on the graffiti removal. All I see is you sitting around talking about Monica's titties while there's a rape victim.
So what? What do you want?
Don't let him drink that. One more push. Quick.
Titus?
She stops mid-sentence. That's it. You got him. He's going to give it up. But...
You want to talk to her, cop? If you don't, if you question her, harass her...
What is her name?
Glacia. I'm on due. She's staying here at the Whirling in Rags. A real pretty one. Silvery...
Shit. The girl. The girl upstairs? That can't be her. She knows you drank so hard you forgot you were a cop.
Yeah. Blonde. Tall. 2 rooms over from yours. Sure. Why not? You've probably seen her around.
You inexplicably add cool after the victim's name.
I don't understand what's so cool here.
Nothing. We just have a few...
Calm. Normal. Try to forget this little hiccup.
Relationship? There was no fucking relationship.
Was like that karaoke incident all over again.
Okay, enough. All of this is irrelevant to your stated investigation.
He did it before we killed him. He's not gonna do it again. So...
It would help if we establish a time.
All right. 2 weeks, maybe?
Here you go, boss.
I know her.
How well?
Well enough, Copper. We party. She's been here for a few months. You mean Revachol? Nah. Our Miss Aranye.
Don't you give her any more trouble. She's just had some... Shut up, Angie. She doesn't need your help.
Titus gives them... What's with all the silences? It's like these guys don't know how to feel about this. You should keep picking at it.
What do you think I meant? Yes, yes, and no. Got something to say about it? No, we just fucked. That's all. I'm not gonna give you any details if that's what you're after. So put your dick away.
He really went out of his way to seem comfortable with this topic. He's doing a good job here. A commendable performance of, I don't give a shit.
You don't know her. Good boy. Remember what I said. Freight train off.
Officer, what was that? You looked strange when he mentioned the assault victim's name. Do you know that woman? Is there something I should know before we talk to her?
Whatever you do, don't say the first thing.
Understood. You were not in good shape on Monday. What you're saying is, you raped her?
Ice is forming on the inside of your chest cavity.
Then, don't ever. What else? Okay, that's manageable. So she overheard you, or did you party together? Anything else? That's clearly your interrogation technique. Anything else?
Well, you feel fortified by his assurance. It's going to be all right. Is it, though? Nothing? You're still in for a bumpy ride.